So if you spent the last month or so trying to understand what is happening in the AI and ERP ecosystem and you didn't manage to get full insight out of it, this video is for you. In this video, I'm gonna tell you about these 3 new approaches that I could see in the system and ERP ecospace that are making the difference right now. So the first thing that I want to talk about is a standard approach that has been used by Oracle NetSuite to connect the biggest large language model to the system itself. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the approach that Oracle NetSuite used to connect the biggest large language model to NetSuite itself. So I'm talking about the Model Context Protocol suite app that allows you to connect Claude and ChatGPT to NetSuite itself. So this is a fairly easy setup because you are now able to install into your system like a suite app that allows you to bridge those 2 things, so the ERP itself and the large language model. And in this case, you will then have access to your system, but you can prompt the large language model, once again, Claude and OpenAI, to get information out of it. So this architecture and this approach is actually very important because it moves us toward the new direction that the whole ecosystem is going toward. So we will have to be very, very good at prompting the system, because the new way of interacting with ERP itself would be like through chats, through large language model, to be more specific. So this is the first approach that I could see around. So it's basically an ERP system, and there is a bridge with the large language model that allows you to get the data, and also not just get the data and extract the data, but also to operate in the system via natural language. So this approach is fairly easy and fairly useful for everyone that is able to give command using plain text and natural language. The second approach that I want to talk about is a little bit more complicated. It's basically an expansion of what I just discussed. So what I could see around is that companies are moving towards a new ecosystem that is basically made of a set of different systems all together, but there is a layer that is a wrapper, probably is a better word for that. There is a wrapper around those systems, and there is an agent that works around this wrapper that is also able to not just see the data or not just operate on one single system, but it sees an overview of all the system, and when it's properly asked, it's also able to interact with a specific system itself. So you can see this approach as an expansion of the first one, where you have this agent, or maybe more than one agent, that are actually able to interact with several systems that are all connected together. The third thing that I see, and this is probably the most advanced approach that I've seen and I've noticed, is ERP with native agents, AI agents inside. So this is basically the brand new approach that Oracle NetSuite just announced not so long ago. So Oracle NetSuite is going to release, and is actually releasing that now, a new version of their ERP system called NetSuite Next. NetSuite Next is basically an AI agentic version of the native NetSuite ERP system. So what NetSuite did is basically they rebuilt the system itself with an agent inside it. Actually, it's more than one agent, but they built this AI agentic layer within the system itself. So the agent doesn't actually sit outside of the system, it's within the system. This gives every user working with NetSuite Next the possibility to interact directly with an agent that has functionality to update, read, write, and delete all the records inside NetSuite. So the way that this would change the way that we've been working with ERP is very, I would say, terrific, because we will now be able to demand operation to the agents living within the system itself, and this will have definitely impacts on ROI. So one of the classic examples that I can bring to you is this. So if you think about the way that we would interact with the system itself, as of today, it's fairly standard with independently from any ERP we can think of like the standard approach, right? So the standard approach was more about, entering a record number into the search of the system, and then, the system would load the record, and then you would scroll the page and look at the information on the record, and, maybe edit something or get all the insights that you actually need. So this is basically going to go away. So this is now superseded by this new agentic level that it's built in within this new infrastructure. So why? Because now it's not going to be you querying the system, but it's you demanding an agent, and then the agent will do the query for you. So the classic example of like retrieving some information out from a specific customer or a specific record will be as simple as asking the agent to do so, right? So what we can think about is basically a redesign of all the system that's going to happen. And once again, it happened already in the Oracle NetSuite Next, but it's going to happen in all the other systems as well, sooner or later, if they want to stay competitive, of course. It's basically a redesign of the interface, and we will definitely see some sort of chat where the user will interact instead of having, all sets of menus that you used to see as of today. So this, of course, comes with a lot of pros and cons. A few to mention are, the fact that you can now demand things to agents, so agents will do things for you. One of the cons is, of course, about token consumption. So we don't know yet, as of today, how much is it going to cost in terms of tokens. So we know, and we have some information from Oracle NetSuite press release, that every user will now have 1,000 AI units. They call it AI units. Those are basically tokens to operate within the system. So the idea is that to compute operation within the system using those agents is basically gonna cost AI units, and for this reason, every single operation that you will do will have a different cost, right? So once again, from the press release, we know that we will have 1,000 units within the system, and when you run out, you will be probably forced to buy more units, okay? Or eventually you would end up doing things manually as you are used to do right now. There are several other things that I can discuss about NetSuite Next. There is much more within the system itself that is now available to everyone. I know that there is like a repository where you can dump all your policies and your PDFs and other documents, and the agent will know the context about them. And eventually, if you want to check something in the system itself, the agents inside the system will eventually know the context within those documents, and they will act accordingly. So the shift is clear. So we'll much more see in the ecosystem new ERP that allows you to interact with the system using an agent. And the key point here is that you need to be prepared, and your team needs to be prepared for this change. If you start now, and maybe if you connect your system to the large language model via an MCP connector, you will instantly see the ROI when this switch happens. Thank you very much for watching.